Hi there mate, how's it going? It's Benja here, and this is a breakdown and review of Yellowstone Season 5 Episode 6 titled Cigarettes, Whiskey, and Meadow and You. That is a long-ass title, isn't it? The cattle roundup is the main attraction of Episode 6, and it starts off with John getting away from Beth to enjoy the scenery in peace. Even though Beth is sassy at first, she warms up to the whole thing and tells Rip not to call this work again because it's too fun. They gather up the cattle without a hitch and even have some time to rest before heading back to the ranch in the morning. So Tate goes fishing with Emmett Walsh, who's an old friend of John and a fellow rancher, while Rip takes Beth to the spot where they would have married at if, Beth didn't rush the wedding. Back in Season 4, she wanted a place with no memories where they would make their own memories, and at the start of this episode she said she can't appreciate a view or a land that is too vast. So Rip takes her to this meadow and she is awestruck. They rest here for a while before they get it on. Beth says all she needs is cigarettes, whiskey, a meadow, and you, meaning Rip. And thanks to the man himself, she's got all of those things. Not only has he found this meadow, but he's also brought with him some whiskey and cigarettes. That is where the title of this episode comes from. Meanwhile, Monica is helping Gator back at the ranch, and when Summer joins them, Monica makes a remark about Summer not being from around here because she doesn't offer to help. The fact that Summer is from the city leads to a discussion about places like this versus cities. Monica says fires cleanse the forest, blizzards and rain protect it and feed the rivers, but when those things happen in cities, which is where Summer normally lives, cities can't cope with it because cities defy nature. They are the opposite of it, and that's why they crumble. Their conversation continues in the family graveyard, where we see James Dutton's grave. He is John's great-great-grandfather, and he died in 1893. I think we saw how he died in the 8th episode of Season 4. James was shot while chasing some horse thieves, and he must have died then. This tombstone looks like it reads John, but I'm pretty sure it's James because of the date of death. It is probably a blunder. We also see Margaret's grave. She was James's wife. The next morning, John realizes that his friend Emmett has passed away. Just the previous night, they were talking about how that day was perfect, or darn close to it. And before the ride in episode 5, John asked Emmett if he was ready for one last ride. So Emmett died doing what he loved, like a cowboy should, head resting against the saddle, staring at the stars. Clara calls in an EMT chopper to pick up Emmett's body. She and John stay behind until the EMT arrives, while the others make their way to the ranch with the cattle. This duo catches up to the herd, and John has a chat with Emmett's wife to inform and console her. The festivities must go on though, because that's what Emmett would have wanted, so they have a good old party after branding the cattle. Senator Linnell Perry is there too, and she can't believe what John did with Summer, commuting her sentence and placing her on house arrest in his own house. Quote, "There's politically incorrect and then there's politically illiterate. You are the latter." End quote. John and Linnell have had an on and off thing throughout the show's history, so there's a personal angle here too, besides the political stuff. And Linnell is apparently seeing the Secretary of Energy, and John can't believe she's involved with that quote-unquote friggin' hypocrite. Later on, Summer refuses to dance with John and tells him to go over to his MILF senator, so Summer is jealous too, and he goes over to Linnell and dances with her. So some funny moments here with John's relationship shenanigans. At the same time, Ryan dances with his singer girlfriend Abby, and a girl teaches Carter to dance. So the roundup went much better than I expected. I was predicting that one of the more established characters would suffer an injury or maybe even die, but no. Emmett's death was handled really well. The scenes out in the country were gorgeous and enjoyable, so even though it was largely uneventful out there, I was not bored at all. But let's get to some actually important stuff here. Linnell mentions that the president is coming to Montana, and she thinks John should be in Helena the next day to meet him. John disagrees and says that he is busy branding calves, so if he wants, the president can come out here. By this point, we had already learned about the president's arrival because Angela Blue Thunder and the tribal council put together a speaking engagement at the Broken Rock Reservation. So the president is gonna show up there. They did this without asking for Thomas Rainwater's approval, so Mo and Rainwater were shocked to find out about this. We learned that Angela is the president's director of Native American Affairs, and she'll make sure that the president endorses Martin, who wants to replace Rainwater as the chairman following the market equities fiasco that shattered Rainwater's hotel and casino plans. Rainwater makes his disapproval of Angela's tactics known. He thinks that the president is coming here for publicity more than anything. Obama visited Standing Rock before running a pipeline through it, so these events don't mean much for the native people, but nonetheless, Rainwater has to join the event because his absence would be used against him. I'm absolutely loving the Rainwater portion of the season so far. His storyline still isn't getting too much screen time, but it is a lot better than the previous 2 seasons. Angela had warned him that she'd show him how to play by the master's rules, and she's done that. Getting the president to show up on the reservation while Rainwater can't even convince Governor Dutton to appear is definitely a baller move. Back in the city of Helena, Jamie has brought Sarah to his house and they've been doing the deed, though Jamie is still not convinced that Sarah's intentions are pure. She tries to reassure him and she wants to know if he is insinuating that she would sleep with someone for her job, and she is successful. Sarah wants to make Jamie the governor. She admits that that wasn't what she had in mind until she met him, and she doesn't hide why either. She would like Jamie to reinstate the market equities airport lease and reverse the state's policy of trying to slow down or even halt growth, and she thinks that Jamie would allow that progress. They continue their conversation in the shower and Jamie agrees to give Emmy what they want, while Sarah says 4 years is too long of a time to wait, alluding to John's term, which means she will try to figure out a way to neutralize John to make Jamie the top dog. This is in line with their discussion later on in the day. They are watching John console Emmett's wife on TV, and Jamie thinks his father can fall in manure and still come up smelling like a rose, and Sarah responds by telling him they can't let John show up to the fight. That is the only way for Jamie to win. So that was kind of ominous. I'm glad Sarah is finally planning to become proactive, but Jamie should not forget that he is in Beth's pocket after she took a photo of him dumping his biological father Garrett's body. But maybe Jamie has finally figured out that that photo doesn't prove a single thing. He is just holding a carpet. That would be the smart thing to do, so I'm not sure it's the option Jamie will go for. Instead, I feel like he's sneakily playing Sarah to find out about Emmy's plans, and he will shock everybody by staying loyal to John. I would say this was a decent episode. I always enjoy the scenery on Yellowstone, because there really isn't anything like it on TV, and they took it to a whole new level this week. Emmett's passing was handled in good taste. Beth and Rip's relationship is probably the most authentic feeling thing on this show, so their scenes together were awesome. On the other hand, the Monica and Summer bits weren't that interesting. Giving more time to the reservation storyline is a good idea. And finally, I'm intrigued by the dynamic between Jamie and Sarah, because I can't figure out if both of them are playing each other or neither of them are. Maybe only one of them is doing it. So that mystery is something else to look forward to every week. Well, what did you think about this episode? Leave your comments down below, like this video if you've enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe for more movie reviews and TV show breakdowns. That is it for now, take care and see you in the next video.